Well, like we said, the MSMEs are getting a lot of attention these days, and there's a newly approved revised national policy on micro, small, and medium enterprises for 2021 to 2025. The policy has the objective to address the challenges of financial access to create, operate, and expand viable MSMEs in Nigeria. There are over 40 million MSMEs in the country, employing about 80% of the country's population and contributing about 50% of the country's GDP. Well, to make doing business easier for them, the Director General of SMEDAN, Dr. Umar Odiko Rada, is here to tell us how the revised national policy will work. Good morning, Dr. Rada. Thank you so much for spending this time with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So the objective of this revised national policy is to address the challenges of financial access to create, operate, and expand viable MSMEs. What's the strategy to achieve this? Because we've had a lot of talks about doing this thing, but what's the strategy with this revised national policy?
I thank you so much. I think the national policy reviewed national policy came at the right time when the country is really in need of the economic development and activities in our nation. But I'll just take you through the national policy because the national policy came into being in the year 2007. And then just to enable us have a policy, national policy that will help the development of MSMEs in the country. And it has the capacity of being reviewed in every 4 years. Fortunately, the fourth review of the national policy came in 2015. And then later on, the second review, which we now launched last week, I think was done. We started it in 2019, but due to COVID-19 pandemic, we had an issue. We couldn't finish it at that time because we need to validate it through the use of the stakeholders, engaging them, getting their views on the national policy. But we are lucky that it has been approved by the Federal Executive Council last month, and we have the new document now. And we have changed a new strategy on how we should ensure that we have implemented the policy to the best we could, and then it could be a document that will help in the development of MSME in the country. Part of the major strategy we put in place to make sure that the policy is implemented fully is we have developed an implementation matrix, and this implementation matrix, they have an actionable plan, and then we also have a strategy as well as a time frame to ensure that at every level we have one thing or the other to implement. And then secondly, we recognize the fact that partnership is the key in making sure that the national policy is fully implemented. As you are aware, we have the National Council on MSME, which is a national body chaired by Professor Osibanjo, who is the vice president of this country. And the essence of the council is to ensure that and to review the performance on the implementation of the policy on quarterly basis. And membership of that group includes the CVN governor, the Naxim Bank, BOI, BOA, all the other institutions that are responsible for the implementation or one way or the other has to do with MSME development, including SON, NAFDAC, and ITF. We equally have Ministry of Works, Ministry of Finance. We also have Ministry of Science and Technology, Youth and Women Development. These are some of the membership. And then representative of the Governors Forum, who is also a member of that MSME Council. And we equally have a replica of that council in all the states of the Federation. So far, we have inaugurated about 23 of those state councils. The ones that are remaining, we are making effort to ensure that those councils, they will be responsible, they will be like a committee responsible for the implementation of the review national policy. And it has a timeline, and we have a feedback that we give to the National Council and the committee so that they will review the performance of the implementation on the national policy. And we equally recognize the fact that we cannot implement the policy without partnering with the state, without partnering with the local governments, also equally partnering with business membership association like NASME, NASI, and the rest of those, AWEF, and the rest of kind of associations. And we equally recognize the fact that all the local and development partners has to be embedded into the plan, so that we ensure that implementation is done at the right time and as it is planned. And equally, I want to also assure you that we have seek and we have gotten approval of the ICR, that is the ICR in collaboration with other international partners to train and build capacity of our staff to ensure that this policy is fully implemented for the benefit of Nigerian MSME as well as for the development of the economy of this nation of ours, especially at this time. And you know, in reviewing the policy, we have to put into consideration so many changes that took place within these 4 years. And these changes include macroeconomic policy trust embedded in the medium-term economic plan. And also we
Can
have
you
to
hear
consider
us?
the economic growth and recovery plan of the government from 2019 to 2020, various intervention by
Dr.
CBN,
Rada.
including anchor borrower. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so sorry to cut you there, but the reviewed policy has split the micro-enterprises subsector into 2 subgroups, like the nano and the homestead and the micro-enterprises. What's the essence of this split, and what's the expected impact?
I think the major changes in the reviewed policy is the classification. First of all, we have changed the classification of the macro enterprises into 2 classes. Then we have what we call the nano, and we also have the macro enterprises. You know, before, we consider the fact that most of these macro enterprises, about 87.3% of them are mom and pop enterprises, or I can say they are very tiny family-owned businesses that have a turnover of less than 1.2 million. And then they also have employment level of just 1 to 2 staff. So we consider the fact that we should classify them to a more formal macro enterprises. These more formal macro enterprises who have the turnover of 1.2 to and above annually, I think there is need for us to separate them, because these ones are more formal than the other ones that we call mom and pop enterprises. And then we classify them into 2 categories. The first category is nano. This nano is the one who has a labor force of only 1 to 2 persons, and then they have a turnover of less than 3 million. And then we also have macro enterprises, and these macro enterprises are those ones who have a workforce of 3 to less than 10. Then they also have a turnover of 3 million to less than 25 million. Then the other ones, small and medium, still remain the way they are, because they have a staff strength of 10 to less than 49, and equally a turnover of 25 million to less than 10 million, or less than 100 million. And then we also, the macro are the ones who have a workforce of 50 to less than 200, and then the turnover of 100 million to less than 1 billion. So the essence of classification, change of the classification, is the recognition of the fact that we need to separate these tiny and mom and pop enterprises to a more formal enterprises, so that it will give the government opportunity to separate when there is intervention of any nature, to separate this kind of intervention to target different classes of the macro businesses. because, you know, the government has already underlined this kind of separation through the intervention that was given in the last 2 years. Trader money, market money is all targeting these mom and pop enterprises. So there is need for us to separate this kind of, and also in line with the global best practices. When you compare with other countries globally, you see that there is this kind of separation that is existing. So that is why when we said in Nigeria, we have more than 41 million MSMEs in the country. Some people tend to wonder, why are these 41 million? But majority of these are mom and pop enterprises. So there is need strategically separate these enterprises into. And then the major shift, again, apart from classification, is the change or shift from asset-based to turnover. The reason for changing from asset-based to turnover is due to the fact that there is depreciation. From the 2013 survey that was conducted between SMEDAN and MBS, it indicates the Naira exchange at that time was 155 to $1, but in 2020, the Naira exchange is 360 Naira to $1. So it invariably means the value of 1 Naira in 2013 and the value of Naira, the Naira in 2013, its value in 2020 is 40.79 kobo. So there is need for
Dr.
us
Rada,
to change that, and then the introduction and the coming up.
All right, Dr. Rada, we know you have a whole lot of information, but you know we have limited time, so we have to get in as many questions so as we can get more information. So now it's a new normal with COVID-19, you know, and the businesses operate not like they used to before COVID-19. Now, with this revised policy, what consideration does it give to the new normal, which is what COVID-19 has brought, and how does it help? I mean, apart from the recategorizing of the MSMEs, as you have said, what help does it give them? What impact does it have on them, especially with the new normal?
You know, the COVID-19 has really introduced the use of information technology as much. Technology has become a very means of doing businesses in this country. And then I can say that the MSMEs are more exposed now to the more technology, the way of doing their businesses, and hence that was the reason why SMEDAN introduced so many apps to ease off this situation. Part of what we did was, you know, SMEDAN provide capacity building for the development of MSMEs in our nation. So we introduced a digital academy in which people from the comfort of their houses, in their rooms, in their offices, they can be able to get entrepreneurship training of any kind they needed online, and they get their certificate online so that they build their capacity to enable them to develop their businesses to the highest level and in quantum with the global best practices. And part of it, we have also created a marketing app in which if you have your product, you can put it, and people who want to buy, you can transact businesses and then get the value for your product. And also, we have introduced a machinery app. This machinery app, it allows our local fabricators and our partners to key in what they produce to enable the MSME to buy the light machineries they needed to develop their businesses as they have. So I think that the coming of the COVID-19 has really introduced a more easy way of doing business, use of the social media platform, use of internet to buy and sell, order your goods and services, has really helped the economy and has really helped the businesses without much suffering, without much expense, and it has cut the cost of selling our goods and services to the customers. And I think we quickly took advantage of that, and the classification has also considered the introduction of the pen tech technology, in which you see one person who is doing an information technology. He may be having 1 or 2 persons, but you see his turnover is running into hundreds of millions. because of the information technology. So I think this came at the
So,
right
Rada.
time, and Nigeria is really catching up, and the Nigerian MSME are really catching up
Dr. Rada.
towards the development of the technological skills.
All right, Dr. Rada, thank you so much. A lot of information there. We do appreciate your time on the show. Dr. Rada is the Director General of SMEDAN. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah.